welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I know we are in between this and the happy hour, so we'll get right into the topic today. All right, so today we're going to be digging into, we're going to be talking really around ServiceNow and our solutioning that we've built around clinical and lab device management, and really looking at some use cases, looking at the value of what we are bringing forward to customers around that topic. So if you've been in session throughout the days, you've heard an awful lot about ServiceNow and the AI platform for government transformation. This really has been as a goal of ServiceNow's to be that leading solution, to be that leading voice for AI platform, for delivering meaningful solutions through all facets of our business, whether we're focused on IT, whether we're talking about response, being able to make sure that we're connecting those areas of importance to your business and be able to respond and drive with our AI solutions. Okay, so the piece we'll call out here, and I think we heard a lot about it in the keynote today, but the focus of being able to put in AI agents in front of our solutions to be able to identify what are those key areas of solve within our businesses. How do we underpin that with the data from the ServiceNow platform that's consuming and driving those decision points for you? And then being able to align it to workflows so that the work that we're doing today, we're alleviating that manual burden that we're seeing from repeatable, tedious manual activities, being able to leverage that data from the platform to drive decisions from our agents, to drive a smoother experience, drive more efficient operations, and ultimately saving time, saving effort, and reducing risk upon those workflows.
And just one quick note, the way we approach today's presentation, we'll go over a number of slides, and then we have some recorded demos, two of those, and then at the very end, we'll actually show an example of one of our customers that's been innovating on the platform that really highlights kind of those three things coming together. AI, data, and workflow, and it touches on like a home healthcare use case. So I think you'll see some really cool things as we discuss the rest of the session.
So my name is Eric Ferrington. I am Senior Director of Product Management for our Asset Solutions here at ServiceNow.
And Mike Luessi, I run our Healthcare and Life Sciences solutions and products.
So we do want to kick off, and certainly this day is for you, but it's about being able to make sure that we at ServiceNow, we want to acknowledge the presence that our federal government customers have, the use cases and the solutions that we continue to drive and improve through you. This is my 8th year in product management, but my history with ServiceNow goes all the way back to 2009 as a very early customer. One of the things I will say is that our founders instilled that we are a customer-led organization. From a product management standpoint, we take that to heart. We want to make sure that we're driving products and solutions that are meaningful to all of our customers, but specifically when we're taking the time for focusing on our federal government customers and friends, making sure that we're identifying those things that are meaningful, impactful, and drive value into your day in, day out lives and jobs. So I will say the ServiceNow, our secret sauce has always been the single platform. We whether we're talking about AI, but what historically we've talked about, this platform of execution, platform for storing data. There's a single data model, single architecture to be able to execute end-to-end activities and make sure that that data and those decision points and that work is meaningful through all facets of the business. This is why we can be so responsive in areas like customer service and equally deliver massive value in areas like IT, HR, all cornerstones of the business.
And it's actually because Eric has the enterprise asset management components and I have all of the healthcare pieces. We've been partnering for, I feel like a youngster, you said 8 years, I've been 5 years as we've gone through it. And so when you look at these three areas, so enhance the total experience, streamline operations and integrated care and deliver care anywhere. When we thought about our customer base, and we have a worldwide customer base of both public and private organizations, whether they're life science companies or organizations, those being med tech and pharmaceutical payers. We have payers all around the world, and then providers of all different shapes and sizes. When Eric talks about one platform, one data model, one architecture, we leverage those same advantages to build net new solutions for our customers. And one of the things that came up from our customer base was, you're doing a lot in these areas, but you know what? One of the most expensive things that we have to manage are all these clinical assets. And the assets are kind of showing up everywhere. And we're not great at managing all of those assets. We heard those from our life science customers, and we also heard it from many of our providers. And so we intentionally focused on these three areas to go and innovate. Maybe next slide. And the reason why we did this, and this was, some of the stats came from a McKinsey report where it said nurses spend 45 minutes to 60 minutes per shift trying to find equipment. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time where they're distracted from actually taking care of a patient. Hospitals miss savings of as much as 12 to 16% in their medical equipment life cycle. We actually thought one of the main drivers of clinical asset management for organizations would be patient safety. And that was one of the elements, but actually the number one driver was these are really expensive things where we don't do a great job of tracking them, and we think we keep ordering more of the same things. And so we'd like to get more efficient at managing these things. We have one of our customers, one of the largest health systems in the country, leveraged our platform to intercept procurement requests. And they said that they cut their procurement request and procurement spend for net new medical equipment in half. Like, that's giant. Like, that's a giant amount of savings. And then the last part on patient safety, 80,000 deaths and 1.7 million injuries linked to medical devices. It's one of the things that we learned as we started spending more time on medical equipment and helping our customers in this space, was how important planned maintenance was, how important it was to keep track of what was going on and making sure things are safe, that they're secure, and you actually know where they're at. Maybe next slide. So maybe I'll let Eric talk about the complexity of this.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because when we think about a medical device, whether it's a complex piece of machinery like an MRI machine, an infusion pump, or one of the workstation on wheels of computers you see the nurses wheeling out of the rooms when anyone's been at a facility recently. But being able to understand what goes on, what are all of the interactions that take place within that hospital, within that clinical environment, or within a field environment, from the time that shows up on site brand new through the time that it is done and it's hit, this is no longer repairable, no longer usable. We need to get we need to remove this from our business. We think about all the interactions that take place, how many times it goes into service, how many times it comes out for repair. Being able to optimize and make sure that we're tracking all of those transactions, all of those work, and making sure that those steps that take place, we're executing as efficiently as possible, whether it is a simple repair, whether it's an inspection on it, making sure that the readiness of these assets for our clinicians, for our medical facilities, for our patients is job number one. It's making sure that we're looking across all of that work activity and aligning that work activity to predictive outcomes. Being able to understand that when we have excess inventory, do we have the ability to see requests coming from another area of the business? Maybe we can divert some of that inventory so they're not spending and waiting for delivery, where they could simply move it down from the 3rd floor to the 5th floor. Or move it, I guess that would be up. Or being able to look at when we have repairs on machines that are continuously we're going through a continuous cycle of repair on the same type of machine, on the same type of part. Can we work with the vendor? Can we identify those through our maintenance records and be able to display that back to the vendor and say, we believe there's some kind of systemic issue here. Do we have a recall opportunity? Do we have a way to bring more refined equipment standards into our business so that we're maximizing the value that our business is investing in these assets? Okay, we want to make sure that we're maximizing readiness and we're maximizing the customer-facing execution, which for all of our clinical environments, that's patient care. That's you, that's me, that's our relatives. That's the importance of being able to have optimized execution.
Who in this room's been actually in a hospital down in like the biomed engineering area? Okay. a few of you, right? One of our customers, so Eric and I had our teams, as we were designing some of this stuff out, we'd go and spend 2 to 3 days with the customers. And I remember one of our customers, we're down in their biomed department, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff back on this wall. And I said, what is that? And they said, that's Kirkland. And I was like, Kirkland? Like, what, are you working with like Costco? Like, I don't know what that actually means. And they said, no, there was a guy that used to work here. His name was Kirk. Kirk retired, and that's all of the stuff that Kirk's acquired in the hospital over the years, and we actually don't know what all this stuff is. And so, like, while that sounds crazy, we keep hearing these stories as we go across. So when Eric's talking about like that inventory and stockroom and installation deployment, while it seems like it's something that's easy to do, wow, it's crazy complex. Even just finding a simple part that you need to replace. I remember I was watching a lady work through trying to find a piece of equipment for a very specialized device for scanning the eye. And it looked like somebody trying to repair a lawnmower. She had 10 different websites open. She's trying to find the right manual. She's then trying to find the right piece. And then I asked, how do you actually buy that? And she said, well, then I go into 3 different systems to try to order it. And so, you know, I think this is a great view of like all the different pieces that we bring to the table. But we all know like humans are basically the ones that are right now, if you took the infusion pump out, it's like the human that's the middleware trying to connect every single piece together. And that's what we've been trying to improve.
Yeah, and I think that's we want to make sure that we're preserving that work activity, but we want to make sure that we're tracking it. We want to really accounting for that so that when we have the ability to inform that technician, hey, here's what needs to be done. And when they have the ability to pull in tasking from ServiceNow and be able to say, hey, I've started this work, here's the parts I've consumed. And when they resolve it, making sure that they don't have to go into 3 other systems and click and update of what's in use and what's retired and whether locations of parts or assets now. We really want this to be a predictive, we call it low-touch system, that if you're completing the work within the tasks, the assets come along for the ride. Based on that predictive outcome, hey, I need to either repair this. Was the repair successful? Yes. We know what happened with the new device going in. We know what happens with the broken devices going out. And then the database and all the record keeping behind the scenes is more accurate. So it allows them to then move on to the next use case, move on to the next clinician aid, and keep moving forward. One of the things we've seen within asset management has been an extremely, I'll say, rapid growth area inside of ServiceNow. I've talked about my time in product. We launched our first asset management products in 2017, and we have been one of those fastest growing organizations within ServiceNow. That's really not meant to call out well, we like to see the success of the products. I think what it means is that we're tapping into that customer need, that we're helping them solve the issues the right way, that we're eliminating the busy work, but we're driving the accuracy through the roof. Right? So the value in what we are providing through these solutions, we can tie to very holistic use cases that are meaningful on a day in and day out basis for all of our customers. And, you know, we do have several, and this is, you know, materials that we can access through our .com or our use cases. I mean, we don't have to look far to talk about customer efficiencies, whether they're looking at establishing the 24/7 maintenance plans, whether they're looking at increasing return on investment for their assets. But I think one that we really want to be able to highlight is U.S. medical equipment. So this was a customer who worked with our clinical device management solution this past year. They have implemented, and really what they're looking to achieve out of their savings, they're looking at over $4 million of savings per year just from right-sizing their inventory management solutions. That's by saying, hey, net new requests are coming in. We know what we have versus we know what we need. So they can service from what is on the shelf. They've been able to recondition assets and make sure that now they have refurbished products that they can tap into for net new requests as well. But being able to have the visibility and track that work and make sure that they're accountable for their net new inventory they're receiving, what's going into service, what's coming out, has been a tremendous use case for and value accelerator for U.S. medical equipment. Now, when we look across the ServiceNow platform, this is really where you heard me make the mention of this single data model, the single architecture. We look at the way our solutions fit together as really those building blocks, the Lego pieces, if you will, that we're building horizontally through different layers to be able to drive solutions through customers. We're doing this to continue the journey of being that intelligent platform for health and life sciences, whether we're looking at finance and supply chain use cases, whether we're looking at custom workflows to help bring that front office or my ER patient registration system into the platform itself, but making sure that when we align the solutions, we talk about the automations and the integrations needed, that it's working across the platform, that the same data share of being able to make sure that we're logging new patients into that ER patient registration system, we're tracking in our asset management system so that when we have to do planned maintenance or do a software upgrade, that it's not during those peak times, or that we have a backup available so the business can continue on. It's not a surprise when things start failing and disrupting the business we so depend on. Now, asset management capabilities, while we've been focusing and talking about biomedical and clinical devices, we have a saying at ServiceNow, we say, what is an asset? And the answer is yes. We want to make sure that we're looking across whether it's technology-based assets, whether they're enterprise-based assets used for clinical, for facilities, for retail, being able to have a stable and mature life cycle of knowing how our equipment got here, knowing how much inventory we have, how does it go into service, how does it get consumed, right? What happens when it comes out of service? Can we reuse it again? Or how does it eventually hit its end of life, whether we're leasing equipment, whether we're reselling it, whether we're disposing of it. There's fundamentals in asset management that are consistent, whether I'm talking about a van, whether I'm talking about an infusion pump, whether I'm talking about a laptop computer. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean that we copy and print over and make sure the solutions are exactly the same. There are key differences. And that's really where we put focus with our industry peers to be able to say, how do we make sure that this isn't just a IT solution bolted into a medical environment? We want to make sure that the terminology, we want to make sure that the things that we're focusing on, that the outputs are meeting the need of that industry. And that is a huge focus at ServiceNow and why we do alignment from the product areas into industry-based areas. It must work from day one. It can't be it's kind of how we say it in our industry. No, it needs to be purpose-built and purpose-delivered for each industry function. Now, when we look at clinical device management, and really we hear customers looking at this as healthcare CMMS, but when we look at the features and functions across the board, we really want to be able to highlight this is an end-to-end lifecycle solution. We are focused on really pre-acquisition. What am I planning to bring net new assets in? If I have an aged facility and I'm building out a new clinic, what are all the assets that I need to acquire before we open it up? Being able to have the plans for that acquisition, being able to map when we get very complex assets, we have parts and components with them that we need to track. Being able to have, we've touched on inventory and stock, but how do we install, how do we deploy, how do we have these repeated work activities, enabling our technicians not only to deploy, but to service and retire, but then ultimately making sure that when we're eliminating assets from our environments or we're refreshing them, replacing old with new, that we're also doing financial accounting, updates to the systems of record, so that again, all of this work that's being taken place during the asset lifecycle is that system of record that can tie into financial value, that can tie into strategic planning for the business, and ultimately drive cost savings and efficiencies, even with people hours.
I'll take over here. So some of the things that Eric talked about, especially like planned maintenance, and I'll show a video of some of that work happening in here. Those are the things that were different. And like working on biomed devices and knowing what the maintenance plan really looks like, or if you're going to do an alternative maintenance plan, it was different than how we saw a lot of our customers doing things. The other thing is that we had to also make investments over the last few years, not only for the HIPAA pieces, but for high trust. And so we made a bunch of different investments as we work through this that then buys us the opportunity to start doing more and more around AI and Gen AI. And so the first demo, and it's a recorded demo, I just never know how the Gaylord property is going to be for internet, so we want to just make sure it would go seamless. We'll play one recorded demo that shows some of these pieces coming together. You're going to see some of our Now Assist capabilities tied into that through case summarization. And then on the tail end, the last demo that I'll actually do is going to be one that's got some voice AI from an outside party tying in with us. I'm not going to spend time on this because you're actually going to just see it in the demo. So I'm going to fast forward here and we'll go over to the demo. Let's see. There we go.
In this demo, we'll take a look at how healthcare organizations can utilize ServiceNow's clinical device management to manage, onboard, and dispose of medical assets, all while lowering the risk of devices malfunctioning and impeding patient care. With ServiceNow's clinical device management, biomed managers and engineers are provided with insight and clarity to devices across their health system. Here, we have biomed engineer Greg. He uses the Enterprise Asset Workspace to view critical details about the assets he manages, like maintenance plans, expenses, and more. The Enterprise Asset Workspace also provides Greg with the ability to drill down into work orders, plan maintenance, and everything else he needs to ensure that hospital operations continue to run smoothly. When it comes to onboarding new medical devices and assets, Clinical Device Management simplifies the installation process by providing standardized workflows through playbooks, which ensures that devices are installed quickly and correctly and ultimately reduces the risk of errors and delays. Playbooks provide step-by-step instructions to onboard the new device and ensures that there is adherence to any regulation or compliance requirements. Here, Greg is onboarding a new medical device into the asset database. Device types and models can be re-imported into the catalog, like this electrocardiogram. Previously onboarded information like assessed risk or maintenance or work plans can be used for the newly onboarded device. The ability to schedule and track maintenance tasks for medical devices ensures that they remain in optimal working condition. Plus, automated maintenance reminders and task assignments help prevent downtime and improve overall asset reliability. Clinical engineers are empowered with medical disposal processes embedded directly within the platform, which allows for compliance adherence for local, national, and international regulations and ensures that regulatory standards are met. Here, our biomed technician can view a list of automated tasks which have been created to properly track the disposal of assets for his team to follow. Playbooks from ServiceNow helps create an efficient disposal process, reduces costs associated with waste management, and helps avoid penalties associated with regulatory non-compliance. ServiceNow provides pre-built data-backed reports and models to provide clarity into asset status. For example, the Enterprise Model Risk Heat Map surfaces real-time metrics and insights into device risk, calling to action steps to extend device performance, lifespans, and avoid costly penalties for healthcare organizations. Biomed managers and engineers like Greg have clarity on asset risk and can modify directly from a single workspace. Here we have clinician John, who notices that one of the electrocardiograms are malfunctioning and creates a work order to have a biomed technician inspect it. With clinical device management, nurses, clinicians, and other healthcare providers have a streamlined process of flagging malfunctioning devices for diagnostics and repairs. Through his mobile device, he scans the asset tag which populates the device details on the form. Once he fills out the rest of the required information, he submits it to create a work order. This quick process helps him ensure that he is minimizing potential patient issues and lack of care. With the work order created, our clinical engineer Greg is able to manage the work order and make any changes as needed. Through site mapping, Greg is provided line of sight to the location of the asset, clearly indicated on the workspace. Work order tasks can be manually assigned if organizations feel the need to do so, but here, the hospital has a ServiceNow platform automatically assign the work order to biomed technician Emma. As a biomed technician, Emma has the responsibility of repairing and maintaining medical equipment within the hospital. She gets an alert on the ServiceNow mobile agent app that a new task has been assigned to her, and tapping it brings her directly to the work order for the malfunctioning electrocardiogram. She also has seamless access to the manufacturer's manual or any other associated knowledge articles which can help her complete the repair, all from her mobile device. The Agent app also supports offline mode as well. The app will reconnect and sync any changes once a connection has been reestablished. This enables the biomed technician to continue working and doesn't need to wait for a signal or a connection to complete their work. If there's a part needed for a repair, biomed technicians can easily request, swap, or track those parts directly from their mobile Agent app. Questionnaires help ensure that repairs are uniform, follow regulatory standards, and are done under the direction of the manufacturer. This helps with regulatory audits as well, as all responses are submitted and captured in real time as work progresses. This helps keep data hygiene clean while minimizing paperwork for biomed technicians like Emma. With the repair completed, Emma saves time by having Now Assist and generative AI summarize her work steps to close out the work order. Closing out tasks with generative AI increases her productivity and allows her to quickly address the next device or issue within her workday. Before Emma leaves, she decides to run an ad hoc audit of the devices within the room. This helps her ensure that the room doesn't have any asset variances and all required devices for that location are there and accounted for.
All right, I'm gonna now take a different side of this. So we just showed asset and all the focus around the asset. One of the things that we just released this month is something that we call Care Team Operations. And Care Team Operations was, I think of it's almost like the green eggs and ham strategy, which is, would you, could you, in a car, on a train, on a plane. What we hear from our customers is, I need to be able to do things in the EMR. I need to do things in a mobile app. If the EMR has a mobile app, I need to do things in the EMR's mobile app as well. And so as we've been building here, we've been looking to meet people where they're at, and then also make sure that we're not missing opportunities to go and update that something's wrong in a room. So I'm going to show Care Team Ops. This one's only 2 minutes long because I know we're coming up on time. We have about 5 minutes left here. I'll show this is going to be from the lens of, I'm a clinician, I'm working in my EMR, I actually have a biomed issue, and I'd like to raise that issue in there. Our vision with Care Team Operations, how many of you are familiar with EMR Help? Some of the ServiceNow people don't count. So EMR Help was, when I started 5 years ago, the number one thing our customers were saying help us with in the hospital was, could you build an integrated help button? Meaning, so when the clinicians ran into a problem, could you make it easy for them to raise the issue? Because they're not raising the issue anywhere else except to our senior leadership. And then they're coming over and telling us we're in trouble because nobody's listening to the clinicians. And so we did that with Epic. We did that with Cerner. When Cerner was bought by Oracle, there was a lot of loss of some of the talent that was working on this. And now we're re-engaging with Oracle now to go and see how we go and improve some of these experiences. So what I'm going to show you is what we've built specifically with an Epic focus. We have a number of customers that have lined up now to be design partners to go and bring the same experience into Cerner.
Welcome to the demo of Care Team Operations. For this demo, we will show biomed case flow. Ava Lewis, a nurse logged in the EMR, will open the embedded Care Team portal to create a biomed case, which will auto-generate a work order. The work order will get assigned to Maya, a biomed manager. She will qualify the work order and leave a note on the work order. Ethan, a unit secretary, can view the comments and track the biomed cases. Sarah is a biomed technician who will work on the work order task and complete the issue, which will close the work order.
So similar personalities that you heard from
Onto
before.
the demo. Ava Lewis is a nurse working in her EMR.
The difference is now we're doing this in the EMR.
But the ultrasound is not working. She can easily click the Care Team Help link, which opens the Care Team portal within her EMR. And now she can easily create a biomed case while being in her EMR experience. She can see request IT service case type and
we
workflow,
can do EMR
biomed service
IT
case type
cases,
and
we
workflow.
can do
She
biomed
can see
cases.
all the services
We
which have
built
been
additional
requested by
case
her unit.
objects,
Easily filter
so
for
our
all the
customers
IT
and our
services
partners and
requested
ourselves
by
can
her
go and
unit.
open
And
up
also
the
filter
number of
for the
case
biomed
types that
service.
anybody can
She can
submit.
see all the cases which has been created by her. For requesting a biomed services, she clicks request a biomed service. Report a medical device issue. The system has identified her organization unit Since the asset tag is available to her, she enters the asset tag. The system identifies the asset information. She can add the location, add a short description. She can add the details, select the urgency, and even identify a contact person. She goes ahead and submits the case. The system creates a biomed case and auto-generates a work order associated for the biomed case. Maya is a biomed manager logged into her CSM FSM configurable workspace, where she can see the work order which has been generated from the biomed case. She opens the work order. The work order has all the information from the biomed case, as in the asset information, the requester, the contact information. She leaves a note for the nurse. She goes ahead and qualifies the work order, which has generated a work order. The work order task is assigned to Sarah Hernandez, who is a biomed technician. Now I am logged in as Ethan Young. Ethan Young is a unit secretary who works on his workstation and is logged into the care team portal. He can see request IT service, request biomed services, easily filter for all services, IT and biomed services. Going to the individual cases, he can see the cases created by his entire unit. As you can notice, this case
So I'm
was opened by...
go out of this now. And hopefully what you saw in there is we were thinking about it from, I'm a biomed engineer. We were thinking about it from, I'm a clinician. When we started testing the market 3-4 years ago to figure out, like, should we solve these types of problems? What we saw from our customers, we would ask our customers, especially the CIO, do you manage biomed devices today? They said no. We said, will you be responsible for biomed devices in the future? In like 3-4 years ago, they said, I don't think so. Then 3 years ago, they said, now we're starting to. And then 2 years ago, as we built this, many of them started saying, now it's falling under my responsibility. And so we see this idea of more of an enterprise service management approach to, I want a control tower for what's going on in my hospital, bring it all under one lens, matters. What I'm gonna do right now is, and I'll set the stage here, is Alara Caring is a home health organization. They partnered with us for the last 3 years to innovate on the platform. They helped us on like our field service management, our field service product to go and actually build a marketplace so people could pick shifts to go to the home and provide care. One of the things that they came back to us with in the last year was we know that some of these folks need to be in a remote patient monitoring program. We'd like to find a way to leverage the things that we've done on ServiceNow to tie in and actually have devices sent to the home. Could you help us with that? And so I'm gonna have the system call me. The system that's calling me is actually a different AI platform for voice. It's called Bland AI. Bland AI is used by a bunch of insurance companies already. They high trust, HIPAA, all the other things that you would expect. This Bland AI, what's gonna happen is the EMR fed information into ServiceNow. It said this person qualifies for a remote patient monitoring program. I was already called by the program to see if I wanted to join, and I said yes. And now what's happened is in ServiceNow, we went and initiated sending 4 devices to their home. And there was an API from FedEx that fed back into ServiceNow that said, now call this individual. It looks like the devices showed up. Let's help them get this set up because it's very expensive if we have to send technicians out. We think we can cover the majority of the cases there. So fingers crossed this works live here. It usually just takes a second before it calls. Hello?
Hello, this is Jen, your AI virtual assistant from the Skilled at Home Health Monitoring team. I'm here to assist Mike Luessi. May I confirm I am speaking with Mike Luessi?
Yeah, this is Mike.
Thank you. Can I also get you to confirm your date of birth for security purposes?
Yeah, January 1st, 2000.
Thank you, Mike. I'm calling to let you know that your new monitoring devices have been shipped, and they should be arriving today. Have you received them yet?
I got something in the mail. There's a big box there. I have no idea what this stuff is.
That's great, Mike. It sounds like your devices have arrived. Do you need any help setting them up, or do you have any questions about using them?
Yeah, I'm not technical, so this is kind of confusing. I need a lot of help.
Don't worry, Mike. I'm here to help you through it. Let's take it one step at a time. Can you tell me what you see in the box? Are there any devices or instructions that you can see?
Yeah, something looks like a scale.
That's probably the Indie Health Weight Scale. It's one of the devices we sent to help you monitor your health. Let me guide you through setting it up. Can you find the instructions or the quick start guide that came with the scale?
The scales shouldn't be that complicated. Can you just talk me through it?
Okay, Mike. I'd be happy to walk you through it. First, let's make sure the scale is placed on a hard, flat surface. Then, you'll need to insert 4 Tape AA batteries.
You know what?
into the battery
I realized
compartment.
I can't do this right now. Can you call me back in a couple days and we'll go through this again? Maybe on Thursday at 3 o'clock?
I'd be happy to arrange a callback for you, Mike. Unfortunately, I'm a large language model. I don't have the ability to schedule callbacks, but I can offer to transfer you to a live agent who can assist you with scheduling a follow-up call at your preferred time.
Okay, so I'm going to walk you through a few things on that. So there's lots of voice AI agents out there already. Lots are already starting to be used in healthcare. We are taking an open approach and our own approach to what we're doing with AI. And so what I want to highlight, and Eric brought it up in earlier part of the session, when we have that slide that says AI, data, and workflows, that is an awesome example because it is very expensive to try to do all this stuff out to the edge with the home, but we know that's a good place to try to do things because it frees up hospital capacity, and that we highlighted that there's things happening on the clinical systems feeding in the ServiceNow. We're not trying to be the EMR, right? Like Alara Caring has an EMR. We are just supplementing the EMR to make it better. And then what we're highlighting in here is that asset. Like we understood that we have assets. We understood what we should send out to the individual for assets. And then we orchestrated all these different pieces together to drive one experience. Within those prompts, so the individual that built this demo, his name's Dan, Dan worked for a few weeks on prompts, trying to get it right. Like the speed that agent talks, that is configured by us. We also found that if it sounds too much like a human, that actually sometimes can be scary because they're like, am I really talking to a person? So you can make it sound more like a human or less like a human. And so hopefully what you saw in there is, like, we covered 3 demos. One was all the goodness that we've done over the last few years around clinical device management. 2, what we've been doing around care team operations and how we're helping clinicians actually in the hospital. And then 3, taking these investments, and you saw that slide where we had kind of the 3 buckets. We are taking these investments and helping bring it all the way out to the edge to make sure that we are driving one seamless experience, trying to deliver care where people actually want care delivered, and do it in a way that's efficient and economical for the organizations and the countries that are trying to solve these problems. So with that being said, I know we're a few minutes past, I apologize. But if there's any questions, we'd be happy to answer them after we're done here. Okay, thank you, appreciate it.